Howdy, howdy, everybody. How we doing? How we doing? Welcome to the experience. Tonight we are covering all 32 NFL team needs for draft coming up. And then I kind of threw in a little curveball there. I'm going to kind of add in a prospect to each team and kind of outside of the first round. I've tried. Some prospects make more sense than others, obviously, but I think that, for the most part, I did okay. Tonight, we're just going to do NFC, I think, being that to do all 32 teams is going to sit here and take an hour and a half. So we're just going to do NFC teams tonight. I'm sorry, AFC. We're going to do AFC. I apologize. We're going to go ahead and do AFC and then save the NFC for Sunday. So we can get right into it. Again, for those just joining, 32 NFL team needs. All 32. Tonight we're just doing AFC. I apologize. Goodness gracious. AFC. And again, I threw a curveball in there. We're going to do a top prospect for each team outside of the first round. Again, I did my best efforts, but we'll see how it goes. Let's go ahead and get started into it. First off, we're going to get started with the AFC East. I just went by division on this since we're going to do AFC and NFC. The Bills. We'll start it off with the Bills. For me, top needs, top three needs: corner, defensive tackle, wide receiver. In that order, but for me, wide receiver needs to be probably a little higher, but also outside corner is a huge need. The opposite of Christian Benford is bad. The Buffalo defense wasn't great last year, and it's probably the reason that they didn't get to make a deep playoff run. Josh Allen certainly wasn't. Look, this team is great at retaining players, but we have to look to the future. In this draft class, you guys have got to look to the future. I mean, it's pivotal in this draft class and this next free agency. They have to start bringing external pieces in because retaining your players only gets you so far. Because again, where has the players that you have currently gotten you? You can't beat Kansas City. You can't get over that hump. For me, a big prospect for Buffalo that Buffalo should be watching for. We'll call it that for the segment. They should be watching for TJ Sanders. TJ Sanders is a defensive tackle out of South Carolina. Bills just lack interior defensive help. This is what it is. It's a deep class, so I think honestly they should take advantage of it. It's a team need. It's a solid pick in the second round. I think that could be a very high possibility and a solid pick. Next team is going to be Miami. Top three needs is going to be safety, guard, and defensive lineman. For me, safety and defensive lineman really could be swapped here. Depending on if Calais Campbell signed. Well, lo and behold, he signed with Arizona today. So with them now losing Calais Campbell, I think the defensive line switches to the top need and kind of gives the safeties to fall back in this draft class for sure. I think they will be looking for an edge rusher, a defensive tackle of some sort. Losing Javon Holland was a massive hit for them. Star safety was just Pro Bowl caliber right before 2023, his injury season. Really just didn't bounce back as strong as people would have liked last year. Definitely need help on the opposite side of Ramsey. I think they let Kendall Fuller go. I think somebody, I can't remember who they let go. But they need help on the opposite side. And for me, safety being a top concern for them. I think that Xavier Watts, safety out of Notre Dame, really strong player out of the outside of the first round, right? 13 interceptions in his career in Notre Dame for 4 years. Solid defensive player. And I think he steps in immediately and kind of fills that Javon Holland role. It's hard to say, is he going to be like a Javon Holland, very, very young, very ball hawkish. We don't know what he's going to do, but I think Xavier Watts has the body type to be a Javon Holland type. So I think this is a day 2 guy that Miami should really look into is Xavier Watts. Next team, New England. Top needs is I got offensive tackle, wide receiver, and defensive tackle. For me, big void at left tackle. Okay, they tried in on the Ronnie Stanley sweepstakes. I heard they offered him a big contract before he signed back with Baltimore. Dan Moore, they lost out on him. He went to Tennessee. Just kind of things from there. It's just a big hole. They signed Stephon Diggs, right? I think there's still a massive hole at wide receiver. I don't think Stephon Diggs solves the entire problem, especially coming off an ACL injury. You don't know what you're going to get. I've already had this conversation with a few of my contenters, and I thought that the price was a little hefty for a guy coming off an ACL injury. But again, there's no lie to tell. They did get a wide receiver 1, and all power to them, right? But I still think outside of that, like Kendrick Bourne, Demario Douglas, I'm not fans. I'm not a fan of that wide receiver core, and I think they could really benefit from adding another one. Milton Williams, they simply made him the highest paid player ever in franchise history. And I know that's crazy to say because you're like, with the Patriots, wait, they had Tom Brady. No, I'm telling you, guaranteed wise, annually wise, they just made Milton their highest paid player in franchise history. It's a fact. Look it up. It's a crazy stat, and I had to look it up myself, but it is very much true. So the fact that and you got Christian Barmore, who is coming back from blood clots. For me, I don't trust that entirety of that defensive line, so I still think that's somewhat of a need. Prospect for me is Ariante Ezra. He's an offensive tackle out of Minnesota. Look, we've got to protect May, right? We've got to protect May. That has to be a priority this season. Drake May looks like he's the future. So for me, what do? You protect the future, and that's got to be a big vital part for them. This guy is quick-footed, long arms. I liked him in the first round before the combine. I thought there was a few other tackles that kind of outperformed him at the combine, but I still do think that he has round 1 to round 2 talent. Moving on to the New York Jets. New York Jets will finish out the AFC East here. The Jets are going to be, for me, is going to be tackle, offensive tackle, wide receiver, and tight end. Okay. We have to realize that the Jets just lost Morgan Moses, who was their right tackle, Devontae Adams, who was their wide receiver 2 technically, and Tyler Conklin, who was their starting tight end. They lost 3 starters. And I mean, they're going to have to find replacements in this draft. They're just going to have to. They had no focus on these positions in free agency, so now it's come down to the draft, or you just suck at that position this year. And that's I can see the Jets doing that, but I hope not for Justin Fields' sake. What do you do if you don't address the wide receiver position? Well, Garrett Wilson faces a lot more double teams. What does that do for your offense? Can Garrett Wilson handle all the double teams? What does that do for his fantasy production? I mean, there's so many questions that would surround that. Not to mention, do they still draft a quarterback? Is Justin Fields the guy? Is Justin Fields the answer? I do think that the Jets will take a day 2 or day 3 quarterback, just like a developmental piece. But right now, it looks like Justin is the answer to them, right? We'll see how well he performs, but to them, Justin Fields seems like he's their guy. So, moving on to the AFC North. Boom, Baltimore. 3 top needs: edge, defensive tackle, and safety. For me, Baltimore, this entirety of this draft should be defensive players. Your offense is fine. You just got D-Hop. You still got King Henry. You got Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely. A solid offensive line. Your offense is fine. I understand depth pieces, but we can get that later on. This is going to be a defensive draft, or should be, for the Baltimore Ravens. Yes, they were second in the league last year in sacks at 54. But Van Noy is also 34. Odafe Owe, the 44, I believe, number 44, he is a free agent next year if they don't sign him to an extension. He's very young, and he's great. He's a great rotational piece for them. That definitely needs to be addressed, right? For me, a prospect would be Andrew Mabuka, safety out of Texas. He had 5 picks just last year. I think that he would bode well with Kyle Hamilton and kind of be that dynamic duo in the front court. I honestly can picture him in a Baltimore Ravens jersey. It's just one of those where you picture the guy in the NFL and what jerseys he's wearing, and it's honestly a Baltimore Ravens jersey. He fits the scheme, he fits the culture. I would say this would be a solid good day 2 pick for the Baltimore Ravens. Next team is going to be Cincinnati. Edge, linebacker, and safety. Look, again, this goes back to Baltimore. Your offense is fine. Good God, your offense is fine. This should be nothing but defensive picks the entirety of this draft. And if you want a guy, trade up and get him, because God forbid you need to hit. The Cincinnati Bengals are offensively dangerous. I will admit that. But for me, defensively, they are bottom of the league. They really need to get a middle linebacker to start in a year or two. That should be a top priority. For me, honestly, and this is where I couldn't really find maybe a day 2 value over somebody that just kind of fits it. I think that James Pierce Jr. at that number 18, I think is their 18th spot in the first round, I think is a very high possibility. I think he fits their scheme. I think he fits their culture. Nice speed rusher off the edge. But what do we look? What does Hendrickson look like next year? Does he request another trade? Does he get an extension? Does I don't know if they can afford it at this point. with the way that he's playing. He deserves big money. But are they going to get that done? Are they going to trade him? Are they going to let him go? But you have to draft the next guy to take over for that position. And I think that James Pierce is a solid piece to do that. Cleveland, next team. Obviously, obvious ones are quarterback, running back, wide receiver. I mean, honestly, the defense is not half bad. It's not. The offense, questionable at best. You got Deshaun Watson, who's, got the ruptured Achilles tendon. You got Kenny Pickett, who's the only healthy quarterback on the roster. He ain't it. Judy is the only proven wide receiver. Nick Chubb is still unsigned, so, what do you just got Jerome Ford? Cool. I'll take that hit on fantasy. But what do you do with Chubb? Chubb was a big part of that offense. Even after the injury. He still looked good post surgery. Prospect for me, again, if they don't take a quarterback at 2, which I'd have them taking Shedeur Sanders. If they don't do that, I think I could see a day 3 quarterback pick here. And Tyler Shaw. Shaw is how you say it. I was saying it to myself earlier. Tyler Shaw. Quarterback out of Louisville. He's one of the more experienced ones. He's got 32 starts under his belt. He's got a pretty good cannon. I liked his cannon during the combine, and I just just a developmental quarterback here, guys. Developmental quarterback, and maybe at that point, if you don't take one at 2, maybe Kenny Pickett is starting the rest of the year. But at least you have something in the wind to kind of ease the pain at least. Next team is going to be finishing out the AFC North. Pittsburgh. Top needs are going to be DT for me, defensive tackle, running back, and quarterback. Quarterback is on there obviously because there's been no decision made by Aaron Rodgers yet. I hate that another franchise has left their everything in Aaron Rodgers' hands, just like the Jets did. I thought the Pittsburgh Steelers would know better and learn, but they did not. So we're still waiting on that decision. So again, until it is official, I have to say it's a glaring need because Mason Rudolph starting is not it. We learned that Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf, who is currently on the Steelers, were seen in a throwing session over the weekend. So that may be promising to Steeler fans. DT is just a major need. Larry Onajibodi, yeah, I can't say his name. Their starting defensive tackle left in free agency. Cam Hayward, he's 36. He's getting up there in age, guys. It is what it is. It's a major need for a team that has been known for their defense for decades. I don't see, and the reason that running back is in there, I don't see that Gainwell. I don't see Jaylen Warren being 3 down backs. I don't. Even together, it just doesn't make sense for you to walk into the season with Gainwell and Warren. So for me, my prospect would be probably a day 2 or day 3 pick. Caleb Johnson, running back out of Iowa. I think that he is the epitome of a Pittsburgh Steeler. I think he would look good. I think he would play good in a Pittsburgh Steeler uniform. Power at the point of impact. He's a powerful little guy. Downhill speed, and again, I think that it's just the ideal scheme fit. I think that he fits Pittsburgh's scheme entirely, and it just makes sense. So we're going into the AFC South here. AFC South. Houston needs a tackle, guard, and a wide receiver. Tunsil and Kenyon Green were traded. Shaq Mason left. That's three starters last year. Cam Robinson that they got in return, that they signed in free agency, was top 10 and highest allowed pressure rate last year out of all offensive linemen. Top 10. That's nuts. I think Christian Kirk will be a good slot option. But, I think Brian Thomas Jr. just deserves a little bit of help. Right? But for me, I think that prospect Jonah Salvadanea. Yeah, I know I butchered that. Guard and offensive tackle out of Arizona. He has guard and tackle experience, so he's very versatile. I think that helps them out in moving some pieces around. He's been rumored to be the more better suited for the interior, but again, that's what they need. That's what they need. They got to be able to protect Stroud a lot better than they have been. Next team is going to be Indianapolis. Tight end, O-line, and linebacker. Honestly, I don't see tight end being in the second day 2 or day 3, because I see it being at pick 14. I feel like Tyler Warren or Colston Loveland will be at pick 14. I mean, that's pretty obvious for the Colts. It's definitely a glare. They were last in the league last season in tight end receiving yards. It's just they haven't had one in forever, guys. They really haven't. But I say the O-line because Will Fries and Ryan Kelly create holes, right? They create holes in the roster. Ryan Kelly was their starting center. Will Fries their starting right guard. Yes, I'm sure they have guys to step into these roles, but we have to draft to replace their spot or draft to start them. We have to focus on this. A prospect for me is Carson Swessinger, linebacker out of UCLA. Great instincts, in my opinion. Great instincts. And the one thing that I enjoyed about him and his game tape that I watched was the tackle aggression. The way that he goes after tackles is, it's now, let's say if he misses, he's going to whiff. But I'm talking about it's a big body to be missing. But, he's a pretty aggressive tackler, and I kind of like it. Next team is going to be Jacksonville. Jacksonville needs a corner, a defensive tackle, and a safety. They did bring in Jordan Lewis. I just don't think that Jordan Lewis is enough. I've given my takes on Jordan Lewis several times. I think he was overpaid. I thought he was okay in Dallas, but it just didn't add up in the pass coverage numbers. And Jaron Jones, I thought Jaron Jones had a strong rookie performance last year for them in the slot. And now that Jordan Lewis takes that over, Jaron Jones is going to have to compete for the outside position next to Tyson Campbell. And I don't know what that looks like for him. He's known for the slot, and he played an exceptional season last year for them in the slot. And so it'll be interesting to see how they move that around. They do need a D-line interior. Honestly, if they hold on to that the 5th pick, and Mason Graham is still there, or hasn't been taken yet, I think that's the pick to be had. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. If Mason Graham is gone, I could see like a Will Johnson or maybe a Travis Hunter, because somebody's got to fall if he goes top 4. So again, I'm sure they're wanting Travis Hunter to fall to them, but I think they'll take Mason Graham in this draft class. My prospect would be Noel Williams, corner out of Cali, California. He's got physical. He's real physical. He's got great hands. I think that they need corner help, and if you can get it late in the rounds, get the depth. Next team, we're going to finish out the AFC South. I apologize. Tennessee, quarterback, wide receiver, and edge. Now, obviously, they have the number 1 overall pick. Do I think they go quarterback? Yes, I do. I think they take Cam Ward, barring any trade backs from them. They do need wide receiver help, right? Their leading wide receiver last year in touchdowns was Westbrook and Kanye. He's now in Miami. Ridley's really the only proven wide receiver in Tennessee. Harold Landry left and went to the Patriots. He was leading them in sacks last year. It's just a lot of leaders and a lot of top talent left Tennessee again. Prospect for me, it's going to be Alec. I know it's a fancy way of saying it. Elo Minor, the wide receiver out of Stanford. I apologize because I butchered the heck out of that. Strong, sure hands, right? Strong, sure hands. He's got quick feet. He's got a good deep threat, but the versatility is where it comes in for Tennessee. This guy can line up inside. This guy can line up outside. He can do both. I like him in the Tennessee uniform. Moving into the AFC West, and this will be our last division for the night. Like I said, we're gonna just on a time crunch, but we're gonna do the NFC side on Sunday. So if you enjoyed the AFC side, make sure you tune in on Sunday for that. But starting the AFC West, Denver. Denver needs a running back, wide receiver, and a corner in my position. In my opinion, sorry. Running back, okay. Running back, is Audric Estime the guy? Who knows? The way that his workload was so sporadic last year, I didn't like it. But, if they have an Amarion Hampton right there, if they have a Genty right there, do they pass on it? I also don't think so. Marvin Mims. What's Marvin Mims' role this year? I think he played well last year, especially in the slot. What is his role? I think if it is a bigger role, I think the wide receiver need kind of goes down with Cortland Sutton. But I do think that Bo Nix would like a brand new toy. I know he's got Evan Ingram, but we talked last week about Evan Ingram. Last year, they really saw what the Riley Moss injury did to him. So they've got to get some depth pieces over there. The defense just didn't look the same without Riley Moss. So it'll be nice to have that depth. The prospect for me, and I would like to see in a Denver uniform is not Amarion Hampton, is not Genty. It's actually Trayvon Henderson. He reminds me a lot of an Alvin Kamara. Great pass catcher. He's honestly the best pass protector running back that there is in this draft class. But he's more of the 3-down back that the NFL is looking for nowadays. And Sean Payton had him a cat called Alvin Kamara in New Orleans, and I think that he would bed well in Denver under Sean Payton again. And that's one of my sleeper picks later in the rounds for Denver. Kansas City being next. Offensive tackle, defensive tackle, and tight end. These are pretty simple, guys. Jalen Moore, their left tackle that they just signed to be their future left tackle, he's a career backup. It is what it is. They do need more rotational defensive line depth behind Chris Jones. Also, just very clear. Kelsey's only got one more season. That's it. This is the farewell tour. You have to draft. You have to at least let him teach him something, or try to. Noah Gray is not it. I'm sorry. I know a lot of Chiefs fans like Noah Gray, but Noah Gray is not it. He gets wide open, and he gets open in the red zone because Travis Kelce attracts so much dang attention. I'm not wrong. Watch a game tape. And so the prospect for me actually is another tackle, Charles Grant out of William Mary. So this to me would be a right tackle pick, and keep Jalen Moore at left tackle. Hopefully that works out. But I'm just saying the facts are the facts. He is a career backup. But this would be more of a fix the right tackle position. This guy has high potential and a high ceiling, but also, in my opinion, a low floor. So it's a risk play. But again, this would be like a day 3 pick, in my opinion, a 3 or a 4. Round 3s or 4. Next team, Las Vegas. In my opinion, running back, wide receiver, and corner. Last year, they were the league's worst rushing attack. That's factual. Raheem Mostert is not going to fix that. It's just not. He's well past his prime. Pete Carroll usually means a strong running attack. I think that running back will be addressed, whether it is with pick 6 or it is with the first couple their next couple picks, but it will be addressed. They had 2,000-yard receivers last year, guys. If you can name me all 3 quarterbacks that played for the Las Vegas Raiders, I'd give you a pat on the back. I mean, I know I can. Desmond Ridder, Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew. It was horrible. But again, out of these 2 guys, 2,000-yard wide receivers. Well, tight end, but receivers. Get him some help. Get him another wide receiver. Now you got Geno Smith. It's an upgrade. Can comfortably say this is an upgrade. For me, the prospect, though, would have to be Trey Harris, wide receiver out of Ole Miss. One of the best intermediate route runners in this combine. It was on expert level for me. I think that he's a medium route runner to perfection. Watch out for those ins and outs. I mean, it's just the guy can cut. But he also has that deep route speed. And I think that could really help out. And, you got Trey Tucker down there. But after Myers and Bowers, man, the talent level just drops. So we have got to change that. Last team of the night, the LA Chargers. Their team needs tight end, wide receiver, defensive tackle. Look, guys, this is the opposite of the Chiefs. I'm sorry, the Chiefs. This is the opposite of the Bengals. This is the opposite of the Ravens. The defense was the best, arguably the best in the league last year. They allowed the least points per game at 17.7. Justin Herbert and Ladd McConkey need help. God, they need help. I think that they spend that first-round pick maybe on a wide receiver, and their next pick should be spent on this guy, Elijah Aroro, tight end out of Miami. He's an explosive route runner. After the catch speed was insane at the combine. I think he's a great fit in the Charger uniform, especially for Ladd McConkey and Justin Herbert. I think it gives Justin Herbert another weapon. I think it gives Jim Harbaugh another toy. But I think that they may double dip wide receiver, tight end. So, but again, guys, we're just going to do, AFC tonight. We've already run over 35 minutes. Next Sunday at 7:30 p.m., we are going to be doing the NFC side. So if you enjoyed this AFC side, just come join us next week, and we'll see you then. Again, we are powered by Sports Lounge Media. Go check them out on YouTube, as long as Facebook and TikTok. They are a great group of guys. I couldn't be happier and more blessed to be a part of a great group, and just good camaraderie. So, shout out to them. And we are also sponsored by the Mogul brand. Also check out them as well. So deeply appreciate everybody tuning in. Didn't get a chat tonight, but that's all right. A lot of information spewing at you. Like, I get it. So, again, turn in Sunday, guys. Give us a follow on all platforms. TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. Go check us out, guys. Appreciate you guys stopping in.